Kak, 5 menit lagi nanti kita mulai admit rookie-nya ya. Oke, ditunggu ya Kak. Makasih.
Wow.
Oh ya Kak Asel sama Kak Sasya, kita mulai ini ya streaming YouTube sekarang. Karena udah mau 5 menit lagi. Oke. Hai semuanya. Halo.
Hai Kak.
Hai. Halo, kita bakal mulai workshop nih sebentar lagi. Tunggu ya.
Yay. Oke, hai semuanya. Hi everyone. Now we will have a workshop session with Kak Sasya dan Kak Asaelia. Today I'm your moderator. My name is Mahra. I'm part of Generation Girl, and now I don't think talk that much. Anyway, this is your fourth day, and I'm so excited to see all of your presentation and final project. So let's jump right in. Kak Sasya, do you want to start the introduction?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hi, jadi namaku Sasya. I lead the PR team at Ubah Stigma, and I'm here with the co-founder of Ubah Stigma, Asaelia. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Asaelia. You can call me Asael. Yes, I'm the co-founder of Ubah Stigma.
Yay! Hi, Kak.
Yeah, thank you to Generation Girl for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share with all of you guys about mental health.
Yes. So today, as Kak Asel mentioned before, we will talk about your mental health. I think let's just go through the presentation. Please watch it, and we will have the Q&A session at the end of presentation. Please ask us a lot of questions.
So to start off, we want to introduce like a little bit about our organization. So Ubah Stigma is a nonprofit organization that aims to raise awareness on mental health in Indonesia. So our vision is, for an Indonesia that values mental health as an integral component for a healthy community. And to raise awareness, we continuously organize educational and informative programs about mental health. And we also always encourage our society to speak up and to take action in taking care of their mental health. We also work together with a number of psychologists and mental health service providers because we want to bridge, the access between them to the society. And lastly, and this is what we're gonna talk more about today, is we want to normalize mental health as a topic. Jadi kita pingin orang-orang jadi merasa lebih nyaman dan mereka juga jadi lebih sering untuk membicarakan tentang mental health. So, but before we start, Asal and I are curious to know like what you guys know about mental health, and when we say mental health, like what's the first things that come to your mind? So we're gonna use Slido. You guys can scan the barcode from your phone, or you can go to your browser, app.slido.com, event code-nya G172. So coba, please describe mental health in 1 to 2 words. Ya, jangan banyak-banyak, 1 sampai 2 kata aja. We'll wait until everyone, can everyone access Slido?
If you can access Slido, please raise your hand. Please go to slido.com. Okay, 1, 2. Okay. Cool.
Mm. Well-being. Well-being seems to be a big, wellness, luas. I can't see.
Emotion.
And potentially effective. Penting. Setuju banget.
Luas.
Learning feelings.
Arbitrary mental capacity.
Cool. So it's good to know that everyone seems to already have like an idea about mental health, emotion, well-being, mindset, and penting.
Yeah.
Silakan, Sel.
Oh, okay. Yes. So the most words that came up, which are the bigger words, seems to be on the right track. It is on the right track, actually. But I'm going to define firstly what is health before defining mental health. So according to World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So, so just because you are physically healthy doesn't mean that you're completely healthy if you don't have a healthy mental and also social, social or relational things. So what is mental health? Mental health is a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her own potential and can cope with the normal stressors of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to the community. So having a mental health means that the individual understand or they're aware of their own potential, their strengths and weaknesses, and also when there's stressors in our daily lives, we know how to handle and how to cope with it, how to manage them, and essentially working effectively and efficiently. So what causes mental health? Stress can influence our mental health, and we all experience stress. Stress is not always bad. It can be good as well. So a good example for good stress is this predator, as you guys can see. This lion is trying to fight for food, something that benefits it. So stress is good because it increases motivation, it increases adrenaline that can help them gain something that is needed for them. While stress can also be bad, and the example for this is the predator, where the predator is fighting for their life. Stress can be good and it can be bad. Okay, so this is a diagram of stress and performance. So the horizontal line is showing stress. So the further right it goes, the more stress there is. And for the vertical line is performance. So the higher it is, the better performance that we have. Okay, so in this diagram, it shows how we can actually have an optimal performance through stress. So for example, on the left, towards the left, there's less stress. Performance starts to increase and there's an optimal level in the Rock-and-Ed line, if you guys can see there. And this is normally helpful for your performance. For example, you're doing an exam. You need a little bit of stress to get that motivation and for you to actually study. And therefore, you can do well in your exam. However, performance can also decline when there's too much stress. When stress is overwhelming for you, then you start to freak out, and then you start to crash and burn. And this is when stress becomes unhealthy. So stress becomes unhealthy when it's chronic, when it's prolonged, consistent, and lasts for weeks, months, or even years. And chronic stress can weaken our immune system and could lead to high blood pressure, fatigue, depression, anxiety, and even heart disease. So chronic stress can affect mental health in a sense that it can lead to, if we don't have the right resources, we don't have the right coping emotional resources, it can lead us to develop mental illness. And not only that, it can also affect our physical health. So what are the indicators of poor mental health? So stress can cause poor mental health. And so what does it lead to? It can lead to an inability to concentrate at work or on your studies. And then it can affect your social relationships with your parents, with your friends, easily getting very emotional, getting triggered. So then it affects the way you communicate with others. And it can also affect your daily functioning. So when you start to feel this, when you start to feel having poor concentration at school, not being able to manage your stress, it is the time that you need to take a break, reflect, and recharge yourself. Because it is important to also relax and do things that makes you happy, so that it doesn't lead you to mental health issues.
Okay, nice. So we've talked about what mental health is and why it's important. Now, we want to ask you guys again, okay, what about stigma? Does anyone here would like to define what stigma is before we get to the definitions? Anyone?
Anyone who wants to volunteer? What is stigma? Ada yang negative thoughts from other people, the last day.
I think I see someone raising her hand.
Yes, Shreya. Shreya. Hi.
So stigma, I guess, so it's like a mark of disgrace associated with like a particular issue. It's also like another word for taboo. Like for example, menstruation in females is a really big taboo in Indonesia, for example. So it's like yeah.
Thank you. Yes, so that is correct. So stigma is strongly associated with taboo. It's essentially kayak the actually we can go to the next slide, biar langsung the 3 types. So according to Professor Patrick Corrigan, stigma towards mental health, there are 3 types. There are 3 components of mental health stigma. So the first one, and it's like what you described, public stigma is a set of negative attitudes and beliefs that are targeted to a specific group of people. And these kind of values and these kind of beliefs are usually shared, ingrained in society. Jadi these are persepsi-persepsi negatif yang yang ada di kalangan masyarakat yang menolak, yang mendiskriminasikan, dan biasanya itu yang takut sama orang-orang dengan penyakit mental. So these are the negative kind of public perception towards people with mental illness. And there's also structural stigma, or another word is institutional stigma. So this is where the discrimination towards people with mental illness happen on an institutional level. So these are like the rules, these are the policies of institutions that restrict opportunities for people with mental illness. Jadi contohnya, kamu nggak bisa keterima ke pekerjaan karena kamu punya penyakit mental, you can't get housing opportunities because you have a mental illness, and so on. The last one is self-stigma. So self-stigma is when a person with mental illness are exposed and they become aware of, the stigma that exists in society toward them, and they internalize those stigma. And what that means is they absorb those negative attitudes and those negative beliefs, and they use that to in the way they view themselves. So jadinya tuh kayak they feel like, oh, I am dangerous to society. I am, I am harmful. Aku layak untuk ditakutin. Aku layak untuk dijauhin. I can't contribute anything. So those kind of the public perception becomes like self-perception. So stigma towards people with mental illness are clearly unfair to the stigmatized group, and they bring really, really negative impacts, to these communities. Karena people tend to hide their conditions and they refuse to seek help. Sedangkan sama aja kalau kita lagi sakit gigi tapi kita nggak mau ke dokter gigi, artinya kita kan nggak akan bisa sembuh. So it's, refusing to go to psychologists just because you don't want to, reveal that you have like a mental problem. It can actually really like make your conditions worse. And so stigma also, like, because a lot of people misunderstand, people with mental illness, they can also really mistreat them really badly. For example, I kind of forgot the English term for it, but a lot of Indonesians who struggle with mental illness, itu dipasung. What's the English for pasung again, Sal?
Confinement?
Yeah. So they're they're confined and they're treated really badly because, people don't see mental illness like our physical illnesses. They see it as something different. And that's really problematic and very harmful for the stigmatized group. Okay.
Okay. Yes. So why do we need to understand more about mental health, and why is this an issue that we need to focus on? So based on the statistics, suicide is the third leading cause of death for young people ages 15 to 24. And 20% of all teenagers experience depression before they reach adulthood, while only 30% of depressed teens are being treated for it. And depression is twice higher in girls than boys. So because of the statistics that I showed you guys before, it's important to know and to do prevention efforts, because mental illness is one of the biggest factors for suicide. And so in order to prevent suicide, we need to treat the cause of it first, which is mental illness. And one of the factor that causes depression, or that is associated with depression for young people, is social media. So there's a research by Yvonne Kelly in 2019 where she pulled out results from a survey from around 11,000 boys and girls aged 11 years old in the UK. I think it is, yeah. And what they found is 40% of girls are active on social media at least 3 hours a day, in comparison to 20% of their male peers. And almost 40% of girls who spend more than 5 hours a day on social media show symptoms of depression. And they also found that there is a positive correlation between the amount of hours spent on social media and symptoms of depression. Jadi saat lebih banyak waktu yang digunakan di dalam social media, lebih banyak symptoms of depression. And they also found that most girls with depression are unhappy with their appearance and 2.5 times more likely than boys to be dissatisfied with their weight. And there's a quotation from Shannon McLaughlin. She's 18 from the UK, and I'm just going to read out some quotes. She said that seeing that everyone was happy and enjoying life made me feel so much worse. In fact, it made me feel like I was doing something wrong. It not only affected how I was feeling about myself mentally, but also physically. Even though I was a size 10, it really affected the way I looked at my own body. And maybe you can read the rest. But these quotes show how social media can really affect someone, especially us young generation, because maybe there's also a culture of comparison that can really affect our self-esteem, our self-confidence, and perhaps a wrong way to perceive ourselves. And so when this is chronic, when this comparison, when you know, seeing someone from social media really get to you and it becomes stress for you, it can develop mental health issues or something that can be more serious. And so why should we talk more about mental health? Because first, prevalence of mental disorders is increasing. Semakin kesini, semakin banyak orang yang memiliki mental illness atau penyakit mental. And tadi aku sudah mention before that, you know, there are more young people who are experiencing anxiety and also depression, and we are also actually thought as an anxious generation. And by talking more about mental health, we can do more prevention efforts for oneself, you know, having self-care, doing more self-care. Yes. And the second one is to break stigma towards mental health. And Sasya already mentioned and already explained how this can affect our mental health. And by talking more about it, we can normalize the topic so that the stigma can shift to a more positive one or a more neutral note. And by talking about it, people with mental illness, well, when the society becomes more open-minded about mental health, they become less judgmental. And so people with mental illness can start opening up, and so they can have the best recovery by having the proper treatment that they need. And the third one is to build a positive support system. It can really help people with mental health issues so that they don't feel alone, that giving affirmations to them that you know, your condition or your mental health issues is not your fault. And in this way, we can, by talking more about mental health, we can build a more positive environment in our community. And lastly is to prevent suicide and self-harm, as I've already explained before.
Okay. So how do we normalize mental health conversations? So we've listed down 4 main things for today. So the first one, and I think this is like the first kind of key step, is to raise awareness. Jadi just terus-menerus kayak bicarain aja tentang kesehatan mental, like continuously spark conversations and start discussions about mental health. Because, you know, what people see and what people hear over and over again will eventually be normal. Jadi semakin sering diomongin, semakin sering didengar tuh pasti lama-lama akan jadi normal di kepala kita. The second is education. So we strongly believe that one of the reasons why, stigma on mental illness is still so prevalent in Indonesia is because there are a lot of people who still haven't fully understood what mental health is. Dan biasanya kalau kita nggak terlalu ngerti sesuatu, tuh kita langsung ngehindarin, kita langsung berprasangka aja, langsung berasumsi yang salah. So, yuk kita belajar tentang kesehatan mental, kita ajak keluarga kita ajak teman-teman kita and say, yuk let's find out more, let's learn more about mental health. Our programs at Ubah Stigma, kita, we have several programs that really want to kind of share information about mental health. One of them is our Let's Learn program, which is an online workshop, and also our annual seminar, namanya Let's Talk Mental Health, where we invite psychologists and experts, to be there and to share their knowledge to the public about mental health. So this year it'll be around, late August or September. So you guys can stay tuned for that as well. Next slide. The next one is being supportive and receptive. So to really normalize mental health conversations, we need to be conscious in the way we talk about mental health. Jadi sometimes tuh kita bisa nggak sadar kalau cara kita ngerespon ke orang yang lagi cerita tuh bisa merendahkan. So we have to really pay attention to our tone. We have to really pay attention to the choice of words that we use. For example, kalau teman lagi ada yang curhat, kayak don't say, oh iya masalah kamu itu biasa aja kok, kamu harus lebih bersyukur aja kok. Even though we don't mean any harm, our words can be really harmful when it's not being delivered properly. So we have a campaign namanya Building Bridges. It's where, we really emphasize the importance of having empathy and being an active listener to build a healthy relationship with other people. So it's always important to make sure that you're being supportive and make sure you're, accepting new ideas that are outside of your current ones. And the last one is telling your story. So when we speak up about our story, other people who are listening to us will feel A, that they're not alone, and B, they'll feel safe to do the same. Jadi kita berharap lebih banyak orang yang bercerita, lebih banyak orang yang merasa kayak, oh iya nggak apa-apa kok untuk bercerita. Like even it's even encouraged to do so. So we actually have a podcast namanya Utarakan Saja, and there we really always emphasize the importance of expressing your feelings and just speaking your mind out, and also to show that you can talk about mental health in casual conversations, just with your friends and with anyone that you're with. And selain itu, we also always invite our community. Every year we invite our community to submit their artwork that is telling a story about their mental health, their journey with their illnesses, to be displayed in our art exhibition, namanya Stigma. So it's personally one of my favorite programs, and we have it every October to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month. And we actually have a video from one of the artists from Stigma last year, telling her story of her experience with depression. We'll play it.
Aku ngerasa aku dibudakin sama si depresi ini. Kalau kata psikolog aku harus berteman, bukan untuk dilawan gitu kan. Akhirnya suatu hari aku sadar bahwa dia bisa masuk ke dalam rumahku, aku bisa buka pintunya, berarti aku juga bisa tutup pintunya lagi ketika dia pulang gitu. Jadi aku perumpamakan dia sebagai tamu yang ketika dia masuk, ya udah aku sambut, aku sajikan minumannya dari obrolannya aku tulis jadi kata-kata, aku bikin jadi puisi, aku bikin jadi tulisan-tulisan di jurnalku yang memang itu disuruh sama psikiaterku untuk nyatet-nyatet. Terus pas pembicaraannya selesai, walau kadang ada berantemnya sama si depresi, walau kadang ada nangisnya, kadang juga diketawain depresinya sama aku kayak ya udahlah I'm depressed, hahaha gitu doang. Pas pulang ya udah aku bisa dibuka pintunya lagi.
Yeah. So yeah, we really love that analogy, and you know she's really strong to be able to build that mindset. Yeah. Next.
Yes. Okay. So some advice from us on how to manage a few things. For example, by managing stress. So what can we do? Firstly, is to do more self-care. What is self-care? Self-care includes doing things that can help ease our stress, or that can help us relax, can help our mental and soul to relax. And this can include, doing your hobbies, for example, reading books, have a laugh with your friends, yoga, meditation, exercising, and have a good quality of sleep. So these can really help to alleviate stress. And second, try to do journaling. So sometimes we have a lot of thoughts in our heads, and sometimes it can just be stuck in our head and it starts to ruminate. And a way to really untuk supaya those thoughts can be more organized, you can do it by expressing it and voicing out through expressive writing and journaling. So for example, personally, what I do is when I have a lot of stress, I would write down what are the problems that I have right now. And then what are the assumptions towards those problems that I have, negative thoughts, dysfunctional thoughts. And then I'd write down what are the facts. And after writing down the facts, I'd write, okay, so what are the solutions of all of these problems that I can, based on the facts that I have, instead of having it all just in my head and be stressed about it. And scientific research have also shown that expressive writing can actually improve our mental health. And the third one, advice from us, is to set realistic goals. Try to write down, try to make a checklist of your tasks, and then start to focus on the task one by one instead of doing all at once, or like having it all in front of you and try to finish all at once. And then when you start to focus on one task, finish it, and then write a checklist. And then do that throughout the day. It can help you feel more accomplished, and it can help manage your stress. And for bigger goals, maybe try to break down what small goals or what small steps can I do to help me achieve that bigger goals.
Okay. Kalau untuk insecurities, saran dari kita yang pertama is positive self-talk. So the way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk about ourselves, really shape our self-perception and the way we perceive ourselves. And I believe that at the end of the day, you the person who can build your self-confidence is yourself, and we have to be our biggest supporter. Jadi how can we expect people to believe in us if we don't believe in ourselves? And usually, misalnya, when I'm feeling insecure, when I'm feeling down, so I pretend like I'm my best friend who's giving me an advice, and just have that self-dialogue can already be really, really helpful. And the next one is to practice self-acceptance and gratitude. So really try to accept yourself the way you are. And I know that sounds a lot easier than done, but it's really important to really try to put your mind in that direction, karena everyone truly has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. But we tend to focus more on our weaknesses and we forget to appreciate, what we have and our strengths. And the last one we have for insecurities is to surround yourself with a supportive group. Jadi tadi Asael has already mentioned the importance of having a positive support system because, people's energy are truly contagious. And, that's why we really encourage you guys to surround yourself with people who don't make you think about your insecurities, who make you happy, who make you laugh. And kayak as best as you can, try to distance yourself from people who do the opposite. And be it physically distance, benar-benar just don't hang out with them that much, or emotionally distant yourself. Jadi kayak try to internalize that, I'm not gonna let these people affect me.
Yeah. And how can we manage expectation and pressure? The first thing is to be self-aware, understanding and acknowledging what your strengths and what your weaknesses are, and be wise when creating those expectations based on our strengths and weaknesses. And they can include our skills, our talents, our soft skills as well. For example, our character, and for example, being empathetic, being if you're generous. So how can I expand those strengths, and how can I improve my weaknesses? But at the end of the day, remember that you are responsible for yourself. Advice from parents, advices from teachers, or anyone older can be very valuable. However, it's also important to be aware and be in tune with yourself. What do you think? What is your passion? What do you think? What kind of expectations can you realistically achieve? And on that note as well, it's important to express what you feel. Sometimes parents and anyone who's older, for example, grandparents, can give you so much expectations on your studies, on, for example, where to go to college. However, if this is too overwhelming for you, and if it starts to affect your mental health, or it's just too stressful for you, maybe you can start to communicate more clearly and more properly to your to whoever's putting that expectations.
Yeah. And selanjutnya ada don't be too hard on yourself. Jadi yes, penting untuk punya goals. It's important to continuously improve on ourselves. Tapi kalau kita belum sampai ke tujuan yang kita mau, we shouldn't be too hard on ourselves. Okay, we have to get there now. Kita harus nyampe sana sekarang juga. Karena oftentimes our vision is so locked into what's ahead and what we want to achieve. Kita terlalu fokus sama apa yang kita mau tuju, and we tend to forget the progress that we've made. Kita lupa kayak progress yang udah kita buat selama ini. And sometimes, it's worth to just sit back and, pat yourself in the back for the progress that you've made. Kayak walaupun progresnya misalnya belum terlalu banyak, kayak progress is always meaningful karena kan itu selalu kayak a step forward. And the last one is don't compare yourself with other people. So we also mentioned kayak this culture of comparison with social media. It's so easy and now it's just so natural untuk ngebandingin diri kita ke orang lain. Tapi yang selalu aku coba inget itu tuh kita nggak tahu kita nggak tahu circumstance mereka, kita nggak tahu apa yang mereka alamin secara sepenuhnya. So it won't be a fair comparison if we compare ourselves to them. Dan yang sering kali itu kalau aku ngebandingin diri aku ke orang lain, all it does to me is it loses aku jadi kehilangan fokus, it distracts me from my focus, and aku juga jadi nggak ngerasa percaya diri, which is gonna add unnecessary burden and unnecessary kayak additional pressure from us reaching our goals. And yang terakhir, dan ini yang paling penting, adalah semua yang aku sama Asael barusan bilang itu nggak akan terjadi dalam sekejap. It's all of what we've just mentioned take practice, they take time, and even Asael and I are still kind of practicing kayak these things every day, because it's an ongoing process. It's a continuous learning, and it's continuous work. It's continuous effort. Yeah.
Yes. So those are advices from us. And lastly, be kind to your mind and take care of your mental health. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
Yeay, makasih banget buat Kak Sasya dan Kak Asel, keren banget. Aku cuma mau sedikit summary-in dari yang Kak Asel dan Kak Sasya udah presentasiin. Yang pertama, kesehatan itu menurut WHO adalah suatu keadaan fisik, mental, dan sosial kesejahteraan, dan bukan hanya tidak adanya penyakit atau kelemahan. Nah, terus kesehatan mental itu adalah kondisi dari kesejahteraan yang disadari individu yang di dalamnya terdapat kemampuan-kemampuan untuk mengelola stres kehidupan yang wajar, untuk bekerja secara produktif dan menghasilkan, serta berperan serta dalam komunitas. Nah, stigma sendiri adalah berbagai pandangan orang yang menilai diri kita negatif, hal yang kita lakukan negatif, sampai ke pemikiran kita yang negatif. Ada 3 tadi ya Kak, kalau nggak salah, stigma, ada public stigma, ada structural stigma, ada self stigma. Dan as Kak Sasi dan Kak Asel tadi mention, jangan terlalu keras sama diri kita, terus kita juga harus jadi supporter yang paling besar untuk diri kita sendiri, dan kita tetap harus terima kita apa adanya. Keren banget. Tepuk tangan dulu. Tepuk tangan dulu buat Kak Sasi sama Kak Asel. Now we jump into Q&A session. Siapa yang mau tanya? If all of you want to ask something, please raise your hand and we will mention your name. Or kalian bisa pakai Slido untuk tanya jawab. You can use Slido to drop your question and we will. Okay. Dari Florencia mau tanya.
Yeah, so hi Kak. So I have a question about you have mentioned before that one cause of the mental illness is because of the overtime using social media, and I think it's very hard to stay away from the social media because it's very addictive. Do you have any suggestion to deal with it?
Okay, so my suggestion is that at the end of the day, we need to take control over ourselves. So we have to be responsible with the time that we spend on. And maybe if the problem is because that it's addictive, maybe try to do practical things such as having set a timer, because on your phones now you can set a timer. I think you can set a time limit. So maybe do that. But sometimes so it comes from yourself, because me personally, I do that. I set a time limit, right?
Yeah.
But then and then you get the option of
Ignore it.
Yeah.
Remind me in 15 minutes.
I do that twice, and then I just remind me tomorrow or something. So sebenarnya kayak kita udah diberikan fasilitas ini, tapi terkadang kita nggak punya kayak it comes back from ourselves, how much you want it.
Yeah. And just to add to that, so emang banyak yang kita bisa lakuin untuk kayak, the obvious solution is jangan terlalu banyak, don't spend too much time on social media, but that is so hard. I've tried also so many times. Jadi yang akhirnya aku coba is just changing it in the mindset. So aku selalu, like, I've had a love-hate relationship with social media for so long. Dan aku biasanya sering kalau udah it gets like pretty toxic, aku hapus, like I delete the app temporarily to just have that detox and kayak just space dari social media. But kayak at the end of the day yang benar-benar ngebantu is when I really kayak try to think the fact that social media tuh emang nggak menunjukkan representasi yang full of like teman-teman kita lagi ngapain gitu-gitu. Obviously kayak we only show the good things on social media. I think Asaelia has mentioned that. So I think just changing the mindset and not letting it kind of affect you. Know that it's all like the good part on social media.
Thank you, Kak.
Yeah. There.
Oh, makasih banget jawabannya, Kak. Nah, sekarang kita lihat di Slido banyak banget nih Kak yang udah nanya. Pertama, dari atas deh. Any recommendation on how to keep a positive attitude during these challenging times, Kak?
Yes. From me, attitude is followed by our thought. It all depends on our thoughts because our thought affects our behaviors and also attitudes. So if we always focus, if our mindset is that like this challenging time, probably it's about like self-isolation, right? And COVID-19, I assume. So if we keep on having a point of view that, this is like, you're always complaining, you're always negative about it, then our attitude will be negative as well. So trying to change the mindset can really help to keep a positive attitude. So for example, changing the mindset of, thinking that, remember that complaining or seeing this as something negative will not solve the problem. It won't change the situation. You have to stay at home anyways in order to, protect ourselves. And then second, try to check the facts. So what are the facts? I'm healthy, or I still have my family around. I still have a place to live. And then try to be more present and be mindful on the things that is around you. And I think keeping off of social media really helps because you're not comparing your situation or your current condition with someone else's. So try to be more present. What can you do right now? And practice gratitude every day. Have a more gratitude gratitude sikap, like a gratitude attitude by trying to maybe when you wake up, try to be thankful, try to list 3 things that you're thankful for. And in this way, when you start to be more present, you start to be more grateful, then you'll have a more positive attitude.
Cool, berarti dari sikap juga ya Kak, dari mindset juga. Terus ada dari Sira. I would like to know at what point it is considered a mental illness and not just sadness.
That's a really good question. Mungkin I can start and then Asaelia can have a more complete answer because Asaelia studied psychology, but we also kayak didn't mention the danger of self-diagnosing. So kayak emang not when we're sad and when we're feeling down, itu enggak langsung berarti kita punya mental illness. And self-diagnosing can be really harmful. So usually kayak at what point it's considered a mental illness, tuh kayak they have a book beneran yang kayak like a formula book of when can you actually make a diagnosis of a mental illness. And usually if it's when the symptoms kind of occur for more than 6 months, if I'm correct, Sal?
I think it differs from one condition to another. For example, I think depression lasts for 2 weeks. If it's for 2 weeks, so we use this handbook. It's called Diagnostic Manual, DSM, Diagnostic Statistic Manual, I think it is. And then they have a list of symptoms. So for example, depression, feelings of hopelessness, changes in appetite, feeling sad for more than 2 weeks, and so on. And if you show 5 of these symptoms or more, then you can be said that you have a major depression, for example. But sadness is, or any other emotions, feeling anxious are normal emotions, and it's something that our body reacts towards stress, and it's fine. But as I mentioned before, when it's starting to affect your daily functioning, and also when you start to, when your thoughts and emotions starts to overwhelm you, and you lose your concentration for work and so on, then it's the time when you need to start checking up on your mental health and whether it's developed to a mental illness.
Okay. Jadi sebenarnya kalau self diagnosis itu penting atau justru malah bisa jadi salah-salah tuh, Kak?
Ya, definitely bisa salah sih, karena semua orang sekarang kayak banyak yang dengan mudah melontarkan kata-kata, oh gue depresi, gue anxiety, padahal sebenarnya belum tentu. Yang sebenarnya mungkin gimana ya, bukan self-diagnose, tapi mungkin lebih menyadari, oh gue ini kayaknya ada yang salah sama gue. Atau kayak perasaan ini tuh terlalu gue kayak aku nggak bisa handle nih perasaan ini gitu. Tapi yang it becomes dysfunctional saat kita nggak mau try to do something about it. Gitu, kayak kalau misalkan kamu ngerasa, okay, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling depressed, then what can you do about it? Try to either you find help, seek help to understand what is going on and what makes you feel that way. Try to coba untuk cari gitu, kayak triggernya tuh apa, terus bagaimana cara aku bisa cope with this problem. Karena kalau misalnya nggak dicari nih akar permasalahannya apa, nanti nggak akan selesai sampai ke depan-depannya gitu. Saat ada masalah yang sama muncul lagi, nanti reaksinya sama, terus nggak tahu cara ngandelinnya gimana gitu.
Oh, I see. Jadi better ke sadar terus ke psikologi kita ya, Kak. Kayak kita ambil 2 pertanyaan atau 1 lagi, terus kita, kalau misalnya kalian masih punya banyak pertanyaan, bisa langsung DM ke kakak-kakak Ubah Stigmanya ya. Oke, ini bagus. How to find a supportive group where the society didn't aware about the mental issue, because can deny is something that uncontrollable.
Okay. Sasya, mungkin you want to answer?
So to find supportive groups, I mean, Ubah Stigma is one example of a supportive group. It doesn't have to be someone, emang kayak kita nggak selalu beruntung yang beneran teman-teman kita yang bener-bener in our direct social circle, emang mungkin masih nggak semua orang punya seseorang yang bisa dia bicarakan soal kesehatan mental. But this is what these mental health communities are for, and kita selalu mencoba untuk kayak menjadi temanmu kalau kamu emang nggak ada siapa-siapa lagi untuk berbicara. And yeah, so I feel like you can always reach out to us, and there are also other mental health communities, and getting to know like new people. Emang pasti nggak senyaman itu kalau misalnya nggak kenal. But you know, we always try not only be like a safe space for everyone to talk about their mental health, tapi kita juga like we've went over, kita selalu mencoba untuk raise that awareness. And I feel like we've been making progress. Kayak compare it to like 2-3 years ago, orang-orang udah jauh lebih sadar tentang kesehatan mental sekarang. Bahkan sekarang kan pemerintah kita udah menyediakan layanan counseling. So these progress kayak we're getting there. And if you ever need like a supportive group that you can't find from people that are in your personal life, you can always reach out to the platform kayak Ubah Stigma, kayak yang lainnya gitu.
Yeah. Jadi emang sebenarnya kayak Ubah Stigma tuh ada dari suara-suara yang butuh gitu ya Kak. Jadi boleh banget reach out ke Ubah Stigma kalau kalian ngerasa kalian punya permasalahan sama mental kalian. I think satu lagi boleh deh Kak. Kita cari yang menarik. Okay. Oh ini nih. To make our mental issues better, bukan. Ini aja. What kind of things you do to lift your mood up when you're not on a good day?
Apa ya? Ini berarti personal aja ya. Kalau misalnya aku personally, because I'm an introvert, so biasanya lebih menyendiri aja sih. Lebih take time for myself, do things that I like to do, watch funny videos, read books, and also for me, I found this this thing that I now like to use, which is essential oils, because apparently diffusing essential oils really help with stabilizing our emotions and also it depends on what kind of karena the science behind it is that it goes inside like through our sense organs, and our sense organs transferred the information or whatever the molecule of the essential oil is into our limbic system, and our limbic system is what controls our survival instinct. So maybe that's something they can try to do.
Okay, me time gitu ya Kak. Kalau dari Kak Sasy?
Sebenarnya sama sih, kayak I read books and I watch videos and I just do things yang bikin aku seneng sih. So I personally really like to eat spicy food. Aku suka banget makanan pedas, dan biasanya jadi kayak udah kebiasaan kalau aku lagi ngerasa down, kalau aku lagi ngerasa sedih itu pasti jadi craving something spicy, and it kayak just automatically lifts up my mood. So yeah, so just anything that kind of can make you happy.
Okay. Ya, berarti me time itu penting banget ya Kak, dan bikin kita sendiri tenang. Okay, I think that's the last question. Sebelum kita selesai, kita mau foto dulu nih Kak. Yang aba-abanya aku atau Kak Cip nih Kak?
Rara aja, Ra. Dari Rara aja.
Okay.
Berarti share screen-nya kita matiin aja ya?
Share screen-nya di stop aja, Kak.
Okay. Udah, semuanya please turn on your video. Kita mau foto dulu ya. Okay. Naila? Oke ya. 1, 2, cheese. Lagi. 1, 2, cheese. Cool. Yay. Thank you so much for Kak Sasya, buat Kak Asel, for really inspiring presentation. Kalau kalian masih punya pertanyaan yang belum bisa dibalas sekarang, kalian bisa langsung ke EM Ubah Stigma dan sharing-sharing sama mereka ya. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you Kak.
Thank you ya.
Thank you sudah mendengarkan.
Terima kasih untuk yang udah menonton juga. Thank you